Hi there, welcome back on the channel. Yeah, I know I'm in a sort of a business trip / vacation, but still I'm gonna film this vehicle because I've got my equipment with me, at least a part of it. And I said, why not? I do have this vehicle over the weekend, so here it is. It's a C-Class, and it's actually a base C-Class. The configuration is C180. Manufactured in 2023, and it has done about 20,000 kilometers until now. Now let's see what does the configuration means, because no, it doesn't have a 1.8 liter petrol engine. It's actually 1.5 with a turbocharger, obviously, but at least it does have 4 cylinders, and it develops almost 170 horsepower and about 250 Newton meters of torque. The weight of the car is situated at around 1.5 to 1.6 tons, which is not really a lot, but not something to get past with ease, especially with this small engine. And I'll talk more about the consumption in a minute. But let's just go over the whole spec sheet, because we do have an interesting top speed of over 230 kilometers per hour, which it matters here in Germany at least. And the sprint from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour happens in about 8.6 seconds. That's not necessarily something to brag about, but after all, it's the entry-level C-Class. So, in my opinion, it's good enough. The car is rear-wheel driven, and it does have a 9-speed automatic gearbox. But I was talking about the consumptions. Well, even though it's a mild hybrid with a small battery with some excessive start-stop system, the overall consumptions outside the city, I was driving it on the highway with average speed of around 150 kilometers per hour, and it was showing me 6.7 liters. But inside the city, the other day, in a weekday, I had an average speed of around 11 kilometers per hour, and the consumption was 16.8 liters, which, come on, it's a lot. Considering the performance, the weight of the car, yeah, I'm not really sure. But anyway, obviously it all depends on the traffic conditions and how hard you are pressing the accelerator pedal. Let's check out the trunk space. Because, yeah, I know I already reviewed the T model of this vehicle, and that one actually was a plug-in hybrid. But I said that it's relevant to check out the sedan as well in this basic configuration. And as you can see, you do have some nets on the left side of the trunk area with some hooks for your groceries. You can fold down the seats from here, the back seats, and also under the cover you do have the floor. Actually, you do have quite a lot of additional space. So yeah, all in all, it's a good space. I'm missing part of my equipment, as I said. The usual carry-on luggage is not present, but I reckon you can fit at least 5 to maybe even 6 carry-on luggages, like the one that I'm using in my videos in this trunk area. Now let's check out the back seats, because quite interesting. Even though it's a base setup, even here in the back you do have soft materials on the door card and on the armrest, some interesting decor elements with ambient lighting, and some pockets on the door card, on the front chairs, on the center console, because we don't have the climate unit here in the back, only the vents. Some light fixtures on the ceiling, and the central armrest, it's easily accessible, and it does have a phone holder in here, or a set of cup holders that are actually adjustable, and with an interesting system here. I like it. And this is the space back here. As you can see, I do have, with the front chair in line with the B-pillar of the car, I do have more than a palm of space for my knees. And in terms of headroom as well, I have about a palm of space as well. I can stretch my legs under the front chair. But as usual, even though the seat bench is quite in an upright position, I do not have enough underside support. Somewhat of a palm, more than a palm of space actually, is left hanging. But even so, for the most part, it's alright back here. Oh, and I do have to mention another thing. The armrest is a bit short, so my elbow is actually touching the plastic cover from the door card. Anyway, now let's check out the front part of the car. And again, keep in mind that this is the basic model, but you do have interesting materials which are quite soft, with some additional decor elements, ambient lighting, a bit more piano black in here, but at least you only touch this control for the heated seat. And the whole chair, actually, it's quite nice, with a mix of fabric and sort of a fake leather, but with a lot of adjustments. You are not able to move the seat front and back with this control. You have a lever under the chair, but this part actually controls the extension of the seat. As you can see, you can extend it and you can move it upright, and you also have a 4-way lumbar support. Nice door closing sound. I always make a mistake there. Anyway, I do have to acknowledge that the fact that I moved the chair further back, so the space in the back for your knees, it's gonna be less than a palm and a half, as I've shown you. But even so, I think you still can get comfortable behind this sitting position, and you still get about 2 fingers of space until the dashboard. Yeah, the materials are not very nice in here, and also it seems that they are quite loose in terms of screwing together. But anyway, if you will rest your knee on the long trip, probably it will become a bit uncomfortable. And even so, the glove box is not covered on the door itself, but inside it is, and it does have a couple of shelves which are quite deep actually. So yeah, in that regard, it's alright. And at last, let's check out the driver's side. Obviously, you do have some additional controls for the electric windows, the outside mirrors, the trunk opening, and lock and unlock of the doors from the inside. The driver's side seat is identical with the one on the passenger side, which is alright in my opinion. You do have the parking brake and the light controls on the left side of the steering wheel. And let me just start the car. I don't want any music. So this is the look inside the car, and once more, for a basic setup, I think it looks quite nice. You do feel like you're in a premium vehicle. The steering wheel, it's for the most part alright. I do like it, but I'm not a fan of the capacitive controls. The left side controls the cruise control and also the gauge cluster, but it does not have Distronic, the radar-based cruise control, even though it does have this control here. It's not activated, the function, you have to buy something from the Mercedes app. On the right side, you do control the infotainment screen with this area, and also the infotainment in terms of media or phone. We also have paddle shifters behind the steering wheel. Obviously they're quite plasticky, but at least you do have them. The gear selector is right here on the right side, and on the left side the light and wipers control. The gauge cluster, actually, it's pretty nice, pretty interesting. That's the overall mileage of the car. The consumption on the last 6,000 kilometers, as you can see, is 7.7, which is alright. You do get a lot of information in here, and it's quite easily to understand how it works. You can switch the look of the gauge cluster or something like that. You can use the full display for the map, or for the assistant systems, or some service menu with some additional informations. Moving on, we do have a frameless dimmable mirror. This light fixture, which it does have an ambient light, but once again, it doesn't seem to be properly screwed together, but anyway. Then you get the infotainment screen, which I must admit works pretty fine. It does respond quite quickly. You have Android Auto, Apple CarPlay wireless, and some additional information in here. So for the most part, it's alright. Yeah, it does have the climate unit inside the screen, but they're always here, so you don't have to faff about in the menus to change the temperature or the fan speed. Then you have some additional controls for the driving modes, which again are capacitive controls. The park assist and also the backup camera. Some settings for the car. The hazard lights, which at least this one is a physical button. A fingerprint scanner for your profile, your driver's profile. From here you start or stop the infotainment screen, you mute the media or adjust the sound level. Then you have a lot of piano black, which I'm not really a fan. As you can see, it does have some scratches at just 20,000 kilometers. But at least this cover goes like this, and it reveals a wireless phone charger, which also ventilates the phone so it doesn't overheat. Some USB port, some additional space in here, and a couple of cup holders that are sort of adjustable. And at last, the center console houses another set of USB ports and some additional space in here. Welcome to the driving part of the review. Today with the C-Class. With a base C-Class, to be more precise. And nevertheless in its home country, in Germany. We're gonna do a short test drive. We're gonna go on the motorway for a moment and see a sprint from 50 kilometers per hour to about 130. Because even though the stretch of motorway that we are gonna encounter does not have a speed limit, I don't really see the point to push the car over 130, because in most countries that's the legal top speed on motorways. Yeah, here in Germany it's relevant that the top speed of the car is limited to 230 kilometers per hour, even though it's just the base C-Class. But to be honest, that's not really the issue with this vehicle. It's more the fact that it doesn't have enough punch in terms of acceleration. And in my opinion, again, the gearbox seems to hesitate sometimes, especially when you are trying to overtake. at speed. For the most part, in comfort, yeah, it does keep the RPMs quite low, and at around 120, 130 kilometers per hour, it's gonna be in top gear, in ninth gear, holding the RPM to around 1,500 RPMs, which is to be expected in terms of consumption and pollution, but it does hesitate when you're using the kickdown function, as I said, while being at that speed, because at first it goes from 9th to 6th or 7th gear, and then in a couple of milliseconds it decides to go even further to 3rd or 4th gear. And it's a bit weird. It seems like you're driving a CVT, because you don't hear the engine at speed. You only hear noises from the tires and the mirrors, wind noise from the mirrors. And then when you kick down, the gearbox suddenly revs out the engine, and then it changes up once again. And it's as I said, it's something similar with the CVT gearbox. And also, when you're driving inside the city, you don't really feel the gear changes. And again, you could swear that it's a CVT, even though it's not. It's a torque converter. But anyway, maybe at lower speed it helps that it's a mild hybrid system, and the small electric motor helps the engine. Anyway, other than that, the whole driving experience is pretty nice. The steering wheel it's quite light, even though precise. The brake pedal, it's a bit weird. Sometimes it feels like it's letting off the transmission from the engine, and the car starts rolling, and then in a second it's starting to slow down. It starts using the actual brakes of the car, which is a bit odd. Let's see the sprint now from 50 to 130. That was it. As I said, it's not impressive in terms of acceleration, but at least it can maintain higher speeds without a problem. So, yeah, I was talking about the braking system. It's a bit weird, you have to get used to it. After my first day with the car, I was more than fine with it. But for the first kilometers that I drove it inside the city, I was feeling a bit off with the whole braking system. But as I said, for the most part, it's an alright vehicle. It's comfortable enough, not very much so in terms of the suspension. It does feel a bit harsh actually, but I think it's something to do with the fact that you can opt for the Airmatic system, even on the C-Class, which is the air suspension for Mercedes, and probably they're pushing towards that optional extra, and that's why the suspension, the base setup with springs, it's a bit stiff. But as I said, other than that, it's more than fine. So yeah, you still get the feel of a premium vehicle inside this cabin. And with that,
you have not subscribed to this service. To use it, you first have to activate the service in the Mercedes Me app.
What the heck? I didn't ask you anything. Why are you interrupting me? That was rude. Anyway, going back to the vehicle. Yeah, I'll go now through the things that I enjoyed and the things that I'm not necessarily a fan of. And I'll start with the negatives. The first thing is, in my opinion, the lack of auto hold. It does not hold the brakes while you're stopped, which is a bit unfortunate, a bit odd. Probably it has something to do with the configuration of the car, but I'm not really sure. In my opinion, it should have been standard. It's not a cheap car, so yeah. And also, I'm not a fan of the interior in terms of the piano black usage. For the most part, on the door cards, it's alright. You only use the piano black part when you use the heated seats. But even so, it could get scratched, and especially on the center console, where you do use the surface quite often because you have the phone charger, the USB port, the cup holders in there. That area it's gonna scratch like crazy, and for my OCD, it doesn't work. Once again, you could probably order some additional material, or maybe you could use some protective film on it, but once again, for a premium car, which probably was about 60,000 euros, yeah, I'm not really sure. But that's pretty much it in terms of the downsides, because for the most part, I enjoyed the vehicle for the weekend that I spent with it. And I do have some positives. The first thing I think is the space, because even though it's a compact car, you do get a lot of space inside the car, in the trunk area. The trunk lid, yeah, it's not electrical. You cannot close it at the push of a button, but even so, it's quite light, the whole trunk lid, and it does closes relatively easy. So in my opinion, that's a plus, as I said. And also, I particularly love the seats. Even though they are in base configuration with fabric, you can get really comfortable in them. Now I found some bumpy stretch of road, and you could probably see on the video that the suspension is not necessarily great. Anyway, getting back to the seats, as I said, you do have a lot of controls, and I'm pretty sure you could get comfortable in these seats, even though you might be a bit taller than average. So yeah, those are the plus and minus parts of the vehicle. And now I'll talk for a moment about the maintenance aspects, and I'll wrap up the video. Being a petrol engine is not really that sensible for maintenance, but you would still need to do the regular oil change at around 10 to maybe 12,000 kilometers. Stretch it to about 15 if you're using the car only outside the city. But yeah, that's something to keep in mind. Also, in terms of the gearbox, even though it's a torque converter, you should probably do an oil change at around 80,000 kilometers, maybe to 100 if, again, you're using the car outside the city. Other than that, not really much to talk about. This one being the base C-Class, it does have 17 inches in terms of wheels, which are actually quite cheap to replace. And also because it's not a very heavy car, at around 1.5, 1.6 tons, you won't have so much problems with the tires, the brakes, or the suspension. So yeah, and the consumption as well. If you're using the car outside the city, it's almost like a diesel engine. Inside the city, yeah, it's a different story even with the mild hybrid system. I don't really think that it should use that much fuel. But anyway, I'll see today another drive inside the city to confirm that it does have those consumptions inside the city. Other than that, that's pretty much your whole cost of ownership. Even though it's a premium car, it's not gonna break the bank in terms of owning it. You do have to go over a small step, which is the asking price. Even in the second-hand market, it's still a pretty expensive vehicle in my opinion. But then again, yeah, it's a premium car, so you'll have to expect that probably. Well, that's gonna be it. If you enjoyed the video, please consider liking the upload and also subscribing to the channel. But more than that, you could also leave your impressions in the comment section here on YouTube. Until next time, thank you for watching.